The focus of this video is on the lessons I've learned from running my first and last full marathon and how you can apply these lessons in your own life. It all started when my good friend Gary approached me about running in the Long Beach Marathon. With the tragic passing of his wife, who is also my friend and high school classmate, along with his unborn daughter, he wanted to put something together as a tribute to them. While I absolutely love the cause, I initially declined and told him I'm not the type of person who runs for fun. I never ran in any 5Ks, 10Ks, half or full marathons, and the closest thing I came to long distance running was doing cross country in high school, which traumatized me. For those of you who don't know, a full marathon is 26.2 miles. I don't even drive that far to and from work, so why would I run it? Plus, I knew that it's not something you just show up and do on race day. It was a full commitment that you had to prepare months in advance for. It actually took me 2 months before I said YOLO and decided to follow through with it. Gary gave me the training plan, so all I had to do was follow it. When I saw the training regimen, what I was relieved about is that it started with small, manageable runs, and it was structured with short runs during the week, followed by one long run on the weekend. I was also relieved that I didn't have to run the full 26.2 miles during my training, with my longest run being 20 miles. I started putting down all of my runs on my calendar. During my first 3-mile run, I had serious doubts about following through. If it took this much out of me to do these 3 miles, how much more would it be when I did the longer runs? My mentality was not to judge myself for how fast I ran, but to show up no matter how I felt. I had to make that appointment on my calendar. My training wasn't without its challenges. The constant running was tough on my knees, and there were a few instances where I tweaked my knees and wasn't able to complete the scheduled amount of miles. There was one time on my long run of 13 miles along Huntington Beach where I had to stop and get rest and shade underneath each restroom because my body simply gave out on me. What kept me going was my why. I wasn't doing this for myself, but for a cause that was much bigger than me. It was for my friend, her unborn child, and my cousin who passed away in the same year. It was during those struggles that I appreciated the progress I made even more. Another benefit of the training was that it gave me a chance to connect with my friends. It was fun doing my first 10 miles ever with my friends on a Saturday. I was also able to train a few times on our school track with my former coworker, marathon mentor, and friend Malaya, who was a Boston Marathon runner and who's an absolute beast, by the way. As time progressed, my body and lungs started to adapt and get used to the runs, and I was starting to get what runners call the runner's high, where I'm in the zone and fully engaged and present. With repetition came confidence. It became my personal therapy through the grief process. It was a way for me to focus on something productive instead of on the pain of losing my loved ones. During race day at the Long Beach Marathon, the energy beforehand was palpable. All these people gathered together to put themselves through unnecessary pain. Here was the route. At the end of mile 6, as you can clearly see, I was feeling myself as I was on a good pace and my body felt good. It was so cool and energizing seeing crowds of volunteers at different stations throughout the route, passing out water and energy gels and cheering on the runners. But it was a little past mile 13 when I felt my body giving out on me. It was the point of no return, and at that point, I knew I messed up. My knees hurt like crazy, and I stopped. Stopping was the worst thing I could have done, as it felt almost impossible for my legs to start back up. I tried to stretch my hamstrings, and both of them started cramping up like crazy. Needless to say, I was a hot mess. I saw people speed walking past me, and it hurt so much just to get to the finish line. You can now see the anguish on my face. I look constipated, and I never missed my bed more than that day. As you can see, my feet are barely leaving the floor. The last 5 miles felt like 15. I couldn't have been more happy seeing that finish line because I was done and over it. But when I saw my friends cheering me on to the finish line, it just felt so good joining them and cheering on others as they crossed the finish line as well. Even though my body felt like jello, it was such an unreal experience that I would never forget. I'm so grateful to Gary for convincing me to run in the Long Beach Marathon, and it was awesome going through the process with loved ones. What did I learn from my marathon experience? I learned that I would never run that many miles again unless I'm running for my life. It gave me so much more respect for marathoners and the discipline they need to prepare for each race. I learned that as cliche as it sounds, the journey was more important than the destination. It was who I had to become, both physically and mentally, to be as ready as I can be come race day that I was proudest of. And the race day with my friends was simply the celebration of the journey. I learned about the value of community and the importance of leaning on others to get you through tough times, whether it was my friends, family, or the volunteers at the marathon giving me water and cheering me on. I learned the value of stepping outside of my comfort zone and that I am capable of doing things that I never thought I could or would do. It gave me the confidence to pursue things that scare me. What is something you want to do that scares you to the point where you put it off and have yet to even start? What is one habit you've always wanted to build but have been inconsistent in the past that you just gave up on trying? Is it starting a new workout? Doing a new hobby? Writing more? Reading more? Here are some tips based off of my marathon experience that I hope helps you get outside of your comfort zone and, more importantly, get started. Tip 1, make the commitment. Do you or do you not want to move forward with this? Making the commitment will allow you to overcome the days where you don't feel like doing it or you don't have the energy. The cool part about marathons is that you pay for the ticket, so you're automatically committed, and now it's about how you show up for that day. Any shortcuts you take would expose you come race day, so when you have off days, you have no choice but to pick yourself back up. It's like couples getting in shape for their wedding. You have the date set, all the focus is on you and your partner. Now, I'm not calling anyone out, but it was nice having one of my work colleagues in the gym hitting it hard consistently. After his wedding, I never saw him again. I told him, dude, just set up another wedding date so you can get back in. Tip 2, start with the smallest step. What is the minimum step you can take that you can count as a success for you? Make it ridiculously easy to follow through on. Another cliche alert. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. If you wanted to write your personal autobiography, maybe it's writing one paragraph for the day. If you wanted to build the habit of running a mile each day, what about starting by taking a brisk walk around the block? Brushing teeth. What if you just brushed one tooth? You'll find that it's like that saying for eating potato chips, bet you can't eat just one. They trick you into starting, knowing that once you start, you can't help but keep going. It's the same thing as starting with the smallest step. Once you get started, you're more likely to keep going, building the momentum and confidence to reach higher. With this technique, the focus is on quantity over quality. Once you trust yourself to consistently show up, you can then work on the quality. Tip 3, do the work to get the energy. I'll say it right now, motivation is overrated. If you wait for motivation to strike to do things that are important, you're gonna be very inconsistent and it will take forever. Regardless of how I felt, I was going to stick to my commitment. Would you put off meeting with another person if that was on your calendar? One thing to do is to try to put your commitment on your calendar for yourself and don't stand yourself up. Tip 4, embrace the process. I believe that anything worth pursuing is inherently difficult, and what keeps people from staying consistent is wanting to be great right away. Remember, every professional was once an amateur. It's totally okay to suck at first. If you saw my first video, I had no idea what I was doing from a video quality standpoint, but I couldn't wait just to get my message out there. When I started getting serious about my videos, I invested in a green screen, lighting, a teleprompter, and went on a YouTube tutorial binge to figure out how to get good at producing videos. Although there's definitely tons of room for improvement, I'm enjoying the process of learning as much as I can and getting better. So to recap, here are some tips to doing hard things. 1, make the commitment. 2, start with the smallest step. 3, do the work to get the energy. 4, embrace the process. That's it. I hope this video encourages you to just get started today. If you're watching this video at night, start the first thing tomorrow. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my YouTube and Instagram channels. Until next time, peace.